This is Neds AFL Unpopular Opinions. Normally, Ryan jumps in for the Snapshot portion of the program, but he's off sick this week, Rocky.
Yeah, a bit sick. He might need a week off just to reset the multi.
Get well soon. We want you to get well, Ryan. Thoughts and prayers. So I've jumped in for the Snapshot this week. I'm looking forward to it. Get to a bit of the nitty-gritty and the statsy stuff.
The numbers.
And having a crack at the multi. I'm okay. I haven't done a multi with you for a while.
Yeah, your form's never been great.
Actually, my form last year was actually pretty good. It was Lynchy that was letting us down, but he can't do them all. Anyway, we'll go into that. But I want to go through a few things and some futures markets with you. The Brownlow, that's always an interesting one. Back in the Brownlow hunt, we're calling this. So Lachie Neale, I know there was a lot of stuff said about Zork's efforts on the weekend, but Lachie Neale, he did have 34 touches against the Suns. Was his second 30-plus of the season. He's into 26 now for the Brownlow. I did back him at 13 last year for the Brownlow. Were you impressed with Lachie Neale's efforts?
Yeah, well, he got the 3 votes on Triple M from Simon Black. Thought he was best on ground when the game was there, up for grabs in that first half. He was dominant. So he always polls well, and he's probably been Brisbane's best player again after missing a week or two here and there, but he'll poll well again.
And as we mentioned earlier in the program, it would have been nice maybe if the Gold Coast Suns noticed that perhaps they should tag him or something. They kind of just let him be. Now, at a game I was at on the weekend, the Richmond Freo one, Caleb Sarong, he's a very good player. Back-to-back games of 35-plus disposals, if you don't mind now. He's had 4 this season, so, ball magnet recognised game net recognised game, and that's happened every time the Dockers have won. He's into 10 for the Brownlow now.
Yeah, he'd have to be polling well. He finds so much of the footy. Speak about Brayshaw and other guys there, but he's been the most dominant player on Fremantle's list so far this season. But again, I think I know who the favourite would be, and I think Isaac Heaney would be firming up nearly week in, week out at the moment as well, wouldn't he?
Yeah, very much so. Currently, Isaac Heaney is the $4.50 favourite for the Brownlow at time of record. In the second line of betting, though, Zach Merritt from the Bombers. He's storming into the picture now. He's firmed into $7. Has finished with no worse than 27 disposals in all 8 of his games this week and was dominated in the Bombers' thrilling win over the Eagles in the end with 29 touches, 3 clearances, 3 goals. Now, depending on what you believe, we haven't seen a Bomber win a Brownlow since Jobe Watson. It depends who you believe. But the history books will say we haven't seen a Bomber win a Brownlow since James Hird, of course, when he did the double with Vossi, or even the triple with Corey McKernan. Speaking of who you believe with Brownlows, do you reckon Merritt's on?
It'd be a good chance. Yeah. Again, ball winners attract the umpire's attention, and he's around the footy a lot. He'll clearly get the 3 votes from the weekend. So if you keep getting a few best ons, it certainly adds up.
Should be interesting to see how he goes against the Giants under the lid at Marvel, where he can get plenty of it. Now, coaching, that's very much been in the news this week. Obviously, we wouldn't put Luke Beveridge as a contender at the moment for Coach of the Year, unless he turns the Bulldogs around. Then that would be quite an amazing story. But these are the contenders that we would probably have for Coach of the Year. So Brad Scott, the Bombers are in the 8. Yeah. I guess you'd say their schedule's been favourable when they haven't beaten a top 8 side, and they only just scraped in front of the Eagles, where they were terrible in front of goal, to be perfectly honest. But the Essendon edge?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah?
Nah. I think the Coach of the Year nearly has to be the premiership winner, doesn't it? Because they're the best coach they've been able to. But at the moment, it'd be Horse for me. So, I honest, like Scotty, if they end up playing finals, then he has to be
if he
in
coaches
contention.
them to a winning final as well.
Has to be in contention.
Simon Goodwin, he's overcome all the off-field antics and whatnot. So there's actually a very good feature of him on the Herald Sun on Saturday about how he goes about it. But Melbourne are well positioned in the top 4, 2 wins over current top 8 opponents. Port and Geelong, of course, the Demons playing Carlton on Thursday night, but just the long periods of no scoring and another side failing to be accurate in front of goal. The second quarter of the D's Cats game, there was no goal score at all.
Yeah, a bit bizarre, isn't it? Yeah. But again, you talk about the other side of Goodwin. Goodwin's obviously been outstanding as well for a couple of years. His opponent on the weekend, Chris Scott, he's got to be in contention as well for Coach of the Year. So That should be a good race. But again, I always think it should go to the premiership winner.
Yeah, well, that's usually the case, unless I think Craig McRae get
I think
it
he
in 20?
got it, yeah.
You have to have quite the story.
Go from 17 to second or whatever.
Yeah, and Adam Kingsley as well. I think Ryan put him down as a contender. I don't know if it was just recognising game with the guns.
Yeah.
That's mostly got to do with the,
big boys' arms.
Yeah, big boy arms. But, I mean, they had a tough loss in the Sydney Derby. But I'd still have GWS very much as a contender for this year. They do look different. That is true. They did look very different without Cornelio and Tom Green last week.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, the bounce back. 4 top 8 games this week, so it's a fantastic fixture that we've got several clubs in the finals picture looking to bounce back from retrospective losses. The Cats, first defeat against Melbourne. Hey, don't underestimate the power of this show, by the way. I did say it was about time. Could Geelong just be a bit crap?
Yes, you did.
But they've surprisingly struggled off a loss over the last 12 months. They're 4-5 head-to-head and 2-7 at the line.
That surprises me. I thought they would have been quite good after a loss. I think they'll win. I think they'll beat Port Adelaide down there in Geelong.
Oh, they've got to win that one.
Port to go okay there. I think they nearly won a couple of years ago, but I think Geelong just win that.
What'd you make of Port in the showdown last week?
Disappointing. Yeah. They're so frustrating to watch. They make everything look so hard. Like, again, in that game, their goal kicking and entries just so frustrating. I imagine how the supporters feel. Like 5-18 is the return they got. Just their entries and efficiency in front of goal. They're just so frustrating to watch because they play decent footy but just don't get it done.
Well, I mean, the Cats are $1.30 favourites on Friday night at the Cattery against the Power, with the line giving them a 23.5 head start. You'd think they should be able. That's 4 goals. They should be able to cover it. Now, the Blues, 2 straight losses, both against the Cats and Pies, so big teams. The first back-to-back losses of the season for the Blues. They've got a quick turnaround against the Demons on Thursday night. I spoke about Thursday night footy there earlier. The Blues, 4-5 head-to-head off a previous loss, 3-6 at the line. I would probably be back in Melbourne.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards Melbourne.
Yeah.
And you think, like, Carlton lose this, they could potentially be out of the 8 by the end of the round. So it's tough. It's such a tough competition, and their last 3 weeks have been tough, and they probably should have beaten Geelong. They were a better team in that for long periods. Didn't deserve to win the other night, but
It's a close one as well. Thursday night in the betting. The Blues $2 head-to-head. Melbourne $1.82 and the line 2.5. So hard to split at time of record. Very much in the headlines this week, and we were speaking about them a fair bit on the podcast. The Western Bulldogs. How do we solve the Western Bulldogs? Back-to-back losses, Freo and Hawthorn. Now, Freo at Optus Stadium, understandable. Hawthorn, on the other hand, naturally the knives are getting sharpened for Bevo, but he's got the full support of the board, Tom, so it's all good. 6-6 head-to-head and at the line on the back of the loss, but they've got my Tigers at the MCG on Saturday. Now, they should win that.
If they don't win, he's in all sorts of trouble. Yeah. They just need to win. They'll likely come out and win by 80 points. That's just what the Bulldogs do. They're just so up and down. They're so inconsistent. So, something needs to change there. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but you couldn't, as a supporter of them, you'd be so frustrated watching them. You just turn up to the ground, you don't know what you're going to get.
Western Bulldogs by 60 plus points. I'm just looking that up now because he said 80 plus points. You can get that for $6.40 currently at Neds in the margin
value
markets.
Because they could do it. Like their best footy, like the first as Lynchy's touched on before, 3 minutes in, they've kicked 3 goals and then Hawthorn are in front. Incredible.
Yeah. So, that's $6.40. I wouldn't mind that at the moment. Tigers, I think this is a fair assumption. They've been very competitive for most of their games, but the injuries and where they're at is catching up. Now, the Gold Coast Suns, speaking of unreliable teams, coming off another Q-Clash loss. Darwin this Saturday night, they're home away from home. They actually did all right in their stint in Darwin last year. They should, now, you'd have them locked in to beat North Melbourne, surely. Just having a look there, $1.08, so you're not going to bother betting on that. 44.5. But they're 8-5 head-to-head off a loss and a handy 9-4 at the line. But the line's 44.5. They should, but you don't know the humid conditions and whatnot in Darwin, do you?
They played really good footy up there, as you said last year. They should win this game, but they were probably the most disappointing team over the weekend. Brisbane were ripe for the picking, particularly in the second half, and just could not get the job done. Got no flow. Their forward system just breaks down. So They've got some issues, the Gold Coast Suns.
Which clubs do you see bouncing back this week?
Well, I think the Suns will win.
Yeah.
I think the Crows and Lions are going in there, both winners. Who's going to bounce? I think the Giants will.
Yep.
I think the Giants will, and Geelong. Giants and Geelong are the two.
Giants and Geelong.
Coming off losses that are going to win.
Get back on the winners list. All right, let's have a crack at the multi, shall we, Tom?
Yep. Let's jump
Now,
into it.
I've got to. I know got to do as per custom on this program. We've got to recap last week's multi and 0-4 last week.
Not our best effort, was
That's
it?
the first time you and Ryan have managed that result. I think you've actually had a pretty good year on the multi, but unfortunately, last week just wasn't to be. These were your two legs. You had Brody Myercheck 2+ goals.
Didn't get near it.
No, he couldn't.
0.
No, he had a shocker. Well, he had a tough night, not a shocker. Harry Sheasel 30+.
24.
24. Ryan went North Melbourne to cover 36.5 against the Saints. That definitely didn't happen. And the Suns to cover against Brisbane. That didn't happen either. So an absolute Barry Crocker. But fortunately, I'm here.
We get to front up and we go again.
We go again. That's it. That's what it's all about. We've got, like Bevo and the Bulldogs, we've got the full support of the board.
That's right.
When it comes to multis. And I'm just the fill-in guy. So if the fill-in guy's multi gets up, well, who knows? So I will let you go first. What are your legs this week?
Well, I'll go Friday night, take on the Sydney Swans. I'll back them just head-to-head to beat Fremantle. I think they will get that done.
So that's $1.67, yep.
Yeah, and then Saturday I'm going back to the Marcus Bontempelli to have 25 plus.
You do like backing the Bont.
The Bont.
And
normally goals. I normally go for him goals, but I'm going touches.
And if the Bulldogs are to win by 10+ goals, it would mean the Bont gets plenty of the share. My multis now, because I'm back on the multi for the first time this year in this segment, the Essendon Giants game looks like that should be an absolute ripper this Saturday. Yeah. The Bombers play Marvel very well.
You love this.
I do love this bet. They've covered the line in each of their 3 games. In fact, when Essendon and GWS play, they actually play some pretty close games. It's usually a really good one to do that. So yeah, and the last 3 games the Bombers have been involved in have been decided by this as well.
There you go.
So I am going to back either team by 15.5 or less in Essendon and the Giants, and it's pretty good value actually at $2.65.
Very good.
So I reckon we're in for another thriller under the lid, and we'll also this will sort of turn into a bit of a same game multi for us because I'm having a look at Richmond and the Bulldogs. It's been a tough year for my Tigers, but my Kelty Lafau, the big Kiwi boy, since he's debuted, he's been great to watch up forward. He loves a goal. He gets amongst it. He's averaged 1.5 goals since he started. I'm going to have him for 2+ goals in the Tigers-Dogs game. I think, there isn't too much to... They have Richmond don't have too many prospects to win on that Saturday night, but I wouldn't be surprised if the big Kiwi lad just kicks a goal. In fact, you should see his first goal. It looked like he was trying to score a try and then get the conversion because he got a tackle at the line and then went for the free kick. So he literally looked like he was trying to score a try there, rugby union style. So let's recap our multi for this week. So, Rocky, you have gone with the Swans to beat the Dockers this Friday night at Optus Stadium. We're going to go to the Essendon GWS game, either team by 15 or less, 15.5 or less to be exact, and we'll go a same game multi within our multi. It's a multi. A multi. In the Richmond Dogs game. So the Bont to have 25+ disposals and big Kiwi boy Lafau from the Tigers to have 2+ goals. Bag that all up. $12.87 if you don't mind.
That is very juicy. Very juicy.
I'm feeling...
I think it's a big chance to get this
reasonably confident here, Rocky.
There's no legs like last week. Ryan taking North Melbourne in any...
Don't do it. Just North Melbourne at the moment could have a leg of 87.5 and you wouldn't be tempted to take it.
No, that's right. So I feel confident about this one.
Okay. So that's available on the Neds app and in the AFL chat. Happy punting.